Today on the DML News Podcast, people around the world have questions. It's our evening program tonight. I've got the answers, and they're all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining us tonight. We got Denny, my son, across the way. He's going to ask the questions from our readers, our listeners, our Team DML members. We've got Ryan on the controls, and Ryan is always looking dapper. He's got his baseball hat on and looking pretty good, Ryan. Looking pretty good. That being said, we are going to get right into this. We've got 10 questions. We're abbreviating it because it's a half-hour show tonight. Before we get into it, let me just remind you, dmlcbd.com/BOGO, dmlcbd.com/BOGO, buy one, get one free. We offer this pretty much about 4 times a year, and this will very likely be one of the last BOGOs we do for a long time if Kamala Harris gets into office. If Trump is into office, well, then once the economy starts getting better, maybe I could open up the floodgates again. I urge you, if you're an existing customer, please go in there. We've already sold out of gummies. We've sold out of sleep caps. I don't know when I get replenished on them again. Go in there and get the stuff that's still remaining, because if you don't and you're going to come back to me, I might not have product for you. And then the worst thing in the world is you wind up going and get it from some other supplier. You know, the testing, these guys barely do testing. When they do testing, the stuff that's on the label's not in there. I can't tell you about how many horror shows I have. You don't want to put something into your body that hasn't been tested. And in our case, most of the stuff has always been tested twice. First, the materials alone, and then number 2, the completed product. So please, if you're having a problem with sleep, if you're having a problem with anxiety, if you're having problems with aches and pains, if you're having a problem with skin, and if you'd like to boost the immune system, we have the products for you. Go to dmlcbd.com/BOGO. Buy one, get one free. BOGO. That's that. All right, Denny, we got questions, and I got answers. So what do we got?
First question is from Josette Barron Adornetto. Can you explain how tax on unrealized capital gains would work if Kamala wins? I'm not sure people realize what this would mean for them.
So Kamala Harris has talked about trying to pay for all of her insanity by means of taxing people on what's called unrealized gains. So the most simplest way I could put it is this. Let's say, for instance, and I'm going to come up with fictitious numbers, okay? Let's say, for instance, that you buy 1,000 shares of IBM stock, and it's priced at $100. It would cost you $100,000. If at the end of the year you have not sold that stock and it's trading now at $200, it's now worth $200,000. You have theoretically earned, made, profited $100,000. However, you really haven't. It's called an unrealized gain because you haven't sold it. So it sits there. You don't get taxed on the difference between the $100,000 and the $200,000. You may have that in there for retirement 20 years from now, 30 years from now. Or maybe you have it to pay for the college education of your child, whatever it may be. You don't get taxed on that. Kamala Harris has suggested that come December 31st, if that scenario has played itself out, come April 15, you will owe tax on the $100,000 upside. Remember, IBM, you bought $100,000 worth. It's then a year later worth $200,000. She wants to tax you on that $100,000. Now, here's the craziness of this whole thing. What happens if the month after, in January, IBM puts out bad quarterly numbers, and all of a sudden the stock tanks? Let's just say it goes down to where you actually bought it. It's that bad. You've paid tax. You're going to have to pay tax on that money that you had unrealized, even though a month later, before your tax day even comes, that money's no longer there. She's still going to hit you for it. It's insanity. What happens, Kamala, if it's the other way? What happens if $100,000 was my investment and a year later it's only worth $50,000? I'm down $50,000, but I'm not going to sell it because I'm in it for the long term. Are you going to give me a credit on the $50,000 that I theoretically am down? And if you are, what happens when January comes and IBM says, great news, we just had the best quarter we've had in our history, and the stock goes up? It is an asshole's approach to taxation. You can't be anything other than an asshole to think that that works. All right. Secondly, what happens if you don't have the money? So think about how many people that $100,000 could be your nest egg, right? You're saving it for a rainy day. $100,000 upside taxation on that. Let's even just say it was 20%. You got to come up with 20 grand. What happens when you don't have 20 grand to do it? Are you going to forfeit over your stock? Are you going to be arrested for tax evasion? It's nuts. Then you've got the whole housing part of it. You buy a house, let's just say, for $1 million. Okay? Actually, I'm going to use a better example. I have a buddy. He's wealthy. He bought his home for $10 million. He's got a $7 million mortgage. He's got $3 million he put down. The housing market has gone insane in Florida. That house, arguably, easily, right now could sell in a day for $20 million. Is Kamala Harris going to tax my buddy on $10 million of unrealized gains? He hasn't sold his house, but is she going to nail him for $2 million? He doesn't have $2 million to write in that case. So this is just proof that she and the people around her have no idea of what she's talking about and what they're doing.
Oh my! I forgot this is an SDML. I was about to to continue on that. Sorry.
Well, no, if you want to add something, go ahead.
No, it's going to dissuade people from wanting to make investments. I would be dissuaded because what's the point?
Dennis, if she wins her election come January 2, I will probably liquidate my investments and put them somewhere that would limit the amount of exposure she could put me into. That's how bad it is.
Next question is from John Fairhart. If Trump has the intention of draining the swamp, it's going to require a constitutional amendment to limit campaign spending by politicians, political parties, and PACs in order to eliminate big donor influence and give us policies that benefit all Americans, not just their special interests. Will Trump actually clean the swamp in his last term of office?
This is John. I don't know if I necessarily agree with John. First of all, I don't deem the swamp the person or entity that tries to buy a politician. That's corruption of a different nature. I believe the swamp is the likes of Anthony Fauci, bureaucrats who have not been elected into office but wield unbelievable power. CDC, FDA, IRS, FBI. James Comey wasn't an elected official, right? No, none of them. You know, Lois Lerner from IRS, she wasn't an elected official. The swamp, as far as I'm concerned, are people who wind up gaining incredible power, and then they use that power to influence the direction of the country. So I believe that Trump would have to take these agencies and strip them down to the bare bones. That's where I think cleaning the swamp starts with. You know, you can say that you've got horrible senators and horrible House members. Yes, but they're elected into office. Campaign finance reform is a totally different subject. But to clean the swamp, he has got to start inside these agencies because those agencies are where the troubles begin. That's where people are being surveilled. That's where people are being unfairly attacked from a taxation standpoint, being victimized because of the way they vote or how it is that they post online. So there are a bunch of different things that I could use as examples. In order for Trump to do, look, Trump is victim to that. He was spied on. He wasn't spied on by a senator from California. He was spied on from a 3-letter agency, and somebody at that agency said, yes, go ahead and do it. These people get unbelievable power, and then they use that power, and because they're not in the public eye, meaning they're not really on Fox News or ABC News or anything like that, they were hiding behind the scenes, if you will, except for the Anthony Fauci's of the world, who was pumped up because COVID was so unique. But think about how much power He was the most powerful man in America, if not the world, for a very long time, based on phony, fake science. And that's how dangerous it is. As far as campaign finance reform, there was a ruling from the Supreme Court that allowed Citizens United, who, by the way, is run by a Republican, that any entity can put an unlimited amount of money into a campaign via PACs. And that is where the mistake happens, because the one thing that makes us all equal in this country, whether people want to recognize it or not, it doesn't matter your age, for as long as you're 18 or older. So you could be 18, you could be 80, you can be black, you could be white, female, male, gay, straight, fat, skinny, doesn't matter. Everybody has a vote. And when your vote is no longer carrying the same weight as somebody else's because they wound up throwing $100,000 or $1 million behind somebody, that is an injustice in the United States.
Cindy Smith Morrow. When Trump wins, and I believe he'll win, and Kamala, being the current vice president, refuses to certify him, what happens then?
People will be surprised with my answer here. I do not think Kamala Harris will refuse in certifying anything. I think that the one thing that the Democrats are going to try to do, if he does indeed win, is they are going to try to figure out over the next 4 years how it is that they will never lose another election for the rest of our lives. So if she pushes back in the same way that Trump didn't want Pence to sign off, it would take the Democrats and put them into a hole that they've been screaming about forever. I don't think she does it. I think strategically, what they do is they accept it and they figure out how 2 years from now, when it comes to midterms, that they rig elections. So this way they take both the Senate and the House with the idea of shutting Trump down entirely and then making it so this way they win 2028.
Jeanette Bazinet. When Trump wins, and I believe he will, another, do you think something terrible will happen to throw his presidency into turmoil right away? Something like an attack on our electric grid?
Well, that would be a foreign entity or foreigners who are here and hiding in plain daylight. That to me is more of a terror attack sort of thing. When I hear that question, I think more of, will there be more assassination attempts on him? Will the left try to do crazy, stupid things?
Sentencing.
The sentencing, he's not going to be sentenced because if he wins, no court in the nation is going to have the power to put him to prison. It would go right up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to say, no, you're not going to put him. He's the president-elect. He's the president. You're not going to put him in prison. What I think they'll try to do is I think there will be more assassination attempts on him. I think you'll see Trump be begged by the Secret Service and the internal team that he has that he's got to limit his public appearances hugely. Trump's going to fight back on that because he's going to want to do as much with this presidency as he possibly can in 4 years. I think he is going to go after those bad actors that need to be gone after. So there's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of security issues with keeping Trump safe. I also think much of that question hinges on what happens in the other races. If we lose the House, they're going to try to impeach him immediately. They'll find a way. If we lose the House and the Senate, then they are going to basically do everything they can to make him a lame duck. So as far as foreign adversaries, I think foreign adversaries wait. I don't think they try anything on us when Trump is the president because they know that he's not going to take any BS. They'll wait. You got to remember something about the Islamics and about China. They are not like us. They will wait 100 years to execute the plan. We, as Americans, get pissed off 5 minutes into waiting on a line at McDonald's or for our latte at Starbucks. They are not like that. They'll wait it out. Another 4 years is no big deal. They've got a 100-year plan to take us over from within. Another 4 years is not a big deal.
Robin Elizabeth Dupre. What is your prediction as to the winner and worst case scenario on how each side will act up when they get the result of the election?
Oh, that is a powerful, good question. If Trump loses, and from what we've seen so far, just in the last couple of days, the reporting about all this widespread fraud and ineptness, and if people don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to our other podcasts for the last 2-3 days. They've been very powerful. if Trump loses, I don't know to what level it's going to be, but there is going to be an uproar in this country. I don't think people, there's the old saying, get me once, shame on you. Get me twice, shame on me. And there's a part of me that thinks that, and I'm not talking violence, I think people are going to make a movement of some kind, whether it's to move to Florida and secede, whether it's not to pay their taxes. I don't know what it is, but people aren't going to sit back and just accept this for what it is. I don't believe they will. I don't know what they do. I have no idea. I don't even have an idea of what would be a good thing to do. And as you know, us being in Florida, I mean, I can tell you what my thing would be. If we lose this election, I am going to do every possible thing I can to limit my exposure financially. And we are, as a family, going to hunker down and figure out what it is that we can do differently to get through this horrible, horrible time. And the great news about being in Florida is for as long as Ron DeSantis or a person like him remains in place and we have the supermajority, it's a good place to be. We will be hurting from a national standpoint, but here in Florida, we will be able to live free. The other side, what happens if the other side loses? I don't think anything. I think they crybaby. I think they burn a couple of cities for a few nights, try to get it out of the system. And then ultimately, I think they're all going to settle in and realize they're about to make a lot more money.
Michelle Romeo. Is Trump going to take care of America before he sends money to other countries?
Of course. I mean, I think Trump has proven time and time again that he's all about America first. And I think that, well, first of all, there is a portion of our budget that is allocated for foreign aid. We go above and beyond that with things like Ukraine. I think Trump stops allowing money to go to Ukraine. I think that he starts to focus more on putting money to work here in the United States, building the wall, hiring more people required in the jobs that we need them, especially when it's rounding up illegal immigration and deportations and stuff of that nature. I mean, if we stopped spending $150 billion on Ukraine and put that towards deportation matters, oh, what a lovely world this would be. So I think Trump is going to go with the American first principles, absolutely, but I don't think he's going to abandon the world. We can't abandon the world. I mean, we need to have strategic partnerships throughout the world in order to be able to protect ourselves and keep ourselves safe. And a lot of times money buys that access. So it's not like he's going to cut off all the money, but I think he's definitely going to limit it.
Debbie Winkler. Do you think a winner will be declared next Tuesday?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If I had all my assets and I had to bet them one way or the other, you're not going to know Tuesday. I don't even think you're going to know Wednesday. I think they may allude to who the winner is on Wednesday, but you could guarantee that there's going to be at least one state, if not two states, that's going to run into a total freaking brick wall. Right now, it looks to me like it's Pennsylvania, but there is going to be a state, at least one, that's going to have some sort of major issue to where votes can't be tabulated the right way, and it is going to be an uproar. I think people, it's funny, I was just talking about CBD at the beginning. One thing about our CBD that's great is that it helps with anxiety. I think the level of anxiety in this country right now and next week is going to be off the charts. It's almost going to feel, people are going to feel like an asteroid is about to hit the U.S., and we're not sure which way to go, if there is a way to go.
Lauren O'Leary Christner. You've been through a lot in the past couple years. Your courage and fighting spirit are inspiring. You always are genuine, raw, and completely authentic. What inspires you to keep going?
Very interesting question. Yeah, I mean, over the last 3 years, if you think about it, it's maybe even a little more than 3 years. I keep on running into these health issues. I've been good for a while, and now it just started up again recently. Had surgery. I've been in the hospital. I can't tell you how many times. My wife had a major surgery. My daughter, your sister, unfortunately, she just had a surgery 3 months ago, and we just went back to the 3-month checkup. And unfortunately, some of the stuff that they had cut out is coming back. So you take that. You take, we've been hit hard as a business both businesses have been hit hard because of the crazy costs that have been imposed on all of us by Biden and Harris. There is no shortage of downsides, but at the same time I like to try to focus on the upsides. Our family is still together, even though some bad health stuff has definitely hit us. We're still able to function, and I guess, and this political stuff has taken a toll on me as well. I mean, there's some days I come in and they do the podcast where you know this. You do the same thing. It's just like even the election. I can't wait for this shit to be over. I mean, this is draining. The last couple of shows we've done, reading. I wrote about this today in the newsletter. The amount of bad news that we siphon through every single day starts pounding the crap out of you mentally. I mean, I don't even feel like we report the news anymore. I feel we're more of a mail sorter of kind. It's like there's 100 bad stories. We can't report on them all. Which ones do people really need to know about? And it's disheartening. On top of that, like if we get members who drop off, or I had some asshole yesterday got my newsletter and said, I must be on a really low IQ mailing list. Why did I get this? So it's his way of freaking, meanwhile, he signed up for it, right? Yeah. So it's like you deal with that kind of crap every day. It's kind of demeaning. But one thing that I do is I read every morning. Every morning I start the same way. I get up, and before I start getting on my phone, although that's not always the case during the election season, but take election season out, I don't touch my phone. I get up, I take my shower, I go out on my balcony, I read a page from a book called, and I gave it to you boys as well, The Daily Stoic, and it ultimately it tells you you can't control things. You could only control how you react to them, and so I guess that's my answer to her. I know I can't control things. But I can control how it is that I behave and fix or address them. And so the Daily Stoic, it helps me. It's almost like a reminder. It's almost like putting a sign on your mirror that says, brush your teeth, right? You already knew to brush your teeth, but it's good to have the reminder. And then I meditate. And when I meditate, I try to think of all good things. And then I pray to God. And I'm always thankful to God for what I have. And I ask him to give me the strength to overcome the hurdles that are facing me and the shortcomings that I have in my being. Those things there kind of keep me grounded. And I think I've proven over the course of time that when shit hits the fan, I'm pretty solid. Although once in a while I'll get emotional about something, like Ashley just had her surgery. I was a mess, right? But ultimately, we can't control everything. There's very little things that we can control, but we can control how it is that we react to them. And that's maybe and probably my secret sauce if I have one.
Kevin J., what got you into the CBD business?
Illness. I don't know if you guys remember or not, when we had the estate, all of a sudden I started to have these very strange aches and pains. One doctor thought that I had caught a parasite. I couldn't get up. I couldn't stand up. I was always an athlete my whole entire life. And all of a sudden, I think it was Ashley's homecoming or her prom or something like that. And I could barely stand up without falling over. And I felt like as if I was like on my path to dying. And we went, you, myself, and Ashley, we went to go film They Come to America 3 or 4. And we went to the Bahamas to film the illegal transfer of people and drugs. And when we were there, we had a tour guide, and that guy saw how much pain I was in, and he said to me, "I think I can help you with that." And he had made a mixture of CBD, and he gave it to me. And he said, "Take it for the week." And by the end of the week, when we left the Bahamas, I felt like a different person. Kept on taking it. 3 months, 4 months, I was back to the old me, if not feeling like I was 25 again. And at that point, your mother said to me, maybe we should create our own brand and see if we can't make a product like that. And we did. And we just kept on expanding our products. And we do our stuff much differently than everybody else. We test it twice in many cases. We test the ingredients, and then we test the product itself. And what's amazing is that I'm very proud of this. We started off selling it using PayPal, and then we moved to Stripe for our processing. Both of those credit card processors reached out to me and asked me what it is that we were doing with our business. And I said, I don't understand what you're asking. And they said, your return rate, your people complaining rate is so unbelievably low. We've never seen anything like it before. So I'll give you an example. We did like 55,000 transactions with the one, and we only had like 6 people put in chargebacks. I mean, it's unbelievable. And that was all for shipping. Like it went to the wrong place, and instead of contacting us. So they wound up putting in a dispute. And I explained, I said, we're a family-based business, and we take this very seriously. And our products actually help people. I mean, and I know, we have testimonials that are miles long of people that say, I use your soft gels, and now all of a sudden my aches and pains are gone. I use your body oil, and my skin problems were gone. Or the aches and pains I've had from arthritis are absolutely gone. I've tried everything, and only your stuff work. Tinctures, hey, I'm sleeping through the night. I mean, our own family members have experienced this kind of stuff. So it's one thing after the next with all the products that we have. We're always getting results back from people. So that's how I got in it. That's why I've stayed in it. And I got to tell you, out of all the things that I've done, whether it's making films, doing podcasts, doing the news, even before that, I had a big, huge computer business. My most rewarding business ever has been the CBD business, because that is the one where I've gotten the most praise and thanks. And I get a lot for the podcast, but the lives that we've changed have been incredible. So that's how I got into it, and that's how I've stayed in it.
All right. Last 2 questions come from me and Ryan. So today is Halloween. I'm actually wearing my Halloween shirt. It's got,
Is that what that is?
yeah, it's got like skulls on it. It's the most Halloween shirt I could find.
Okay.
I was going to try and find a Yankee jersey, but I feel like it's a sensitive time to be wearing a Yankee
I'm
jersey.
pissed off after that game last night.
Yeah.
I'm pissed off after that game last night.
Yeah. I think Brian, without his microphone, can also agree.
Yeah.
So,
The Yankees lost the World Series, for people who don't know. And
Yeah.
there was no reason. We were up 5-0. We were up 5-0. And then they had one inning where there was a bunch of errors. But then we went back ahead, and Aaron Boone,
yeah.
who I do not like as a coach, I think he sucks. He made so many bad errors. First of all, he took out the starting pitcher who was doing well, and he shouldn't have taken him out. And then he replaced him with a middle of the road reliever when you're on. There's no tomorrow if you lose. We got a great guy in Weaver, and he should have put Weaver in the game, and we would have shut them down and won the game. But instead, we wound up giving it away.
Yeah. As soon as
So
they-
anyway, yeah, I'm pissed. So go ahead.
No, it was
So it's
disappointing.
Halloween.
Well, so it's Halloween.
Yeah.
So my question is, because I've known this as a kid all my life, that you don't like Halloween.
Hate
so
Halloween.
I want to know why you hate it. And Ryan's follow-up question was going to be, then what is your favorite holiday? So I guess, why do you hate Halloween? And then what is your favorite holiday?
Okay, so I hate Halloween because as a parent, I watched this start with you, and then Ashley wasn't so bad. He was bad, and Kelly was kind of bad too when she was a kid. What I mean by bad is your mother and I have taught you guys rules and manners and safety. It has been the cornerstone of mom and my parenting, other than giving you unconditional waves of love. And I watch kids like you who have been brought up the same way. And on Halloween day, when it's time to go trick or treat, everything that we've taught you goes out the window. Kids run across the street. They don't look both ways. We taught, you don't take things from strangers. You're taking candy from strangers. You're opening them up and sticking them in your mouth before we go there and say, we got to check it. Then at nighttime, you go out and you're defacing property with shaving cream and eggs and beating the crap out of each other. And it is the one day where I say good kids do stupid things. Now, that's not like I don't want to see kids have fun. You can have fun. Halloween's fun in terms of getting dressed up. I'm dressed up like a golfer today. So, but This holiday to me is nothing other than trouble from every single last aspect. And, I may be tainted because when I was a kid, I don't know, everybody listening to this, I don't think you ever had this when you were a kid. Thank God it stopped. But when I was a kid, there was a period of Halloweens where they were actually taking candy and inserting needles, broken needles in candy, to where if you bit into the candy, you'd bite into the needle.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's where the whole check the candy came through. And if you remember, you guys would come home and you'd be dying to eat the candy. And I'd be like, you ain't doing it. And I sat there for what would be thousands between the three of you. And then when Kelly came, to going through all the candy to make sure that nothing was broken, having to inspect it, whatever, maybe. It's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass. Not to mention the fact I'm one of those guys when you're home, I hate when the doorbell rings, man. Hate it. And on Halloween, it's like the doorbell rings every 2 seconds, and then you got to go there, and you gotta be happy and friendly to the little kids, especially the little kids. I like when the little kids come up dressed as something, But anyway, I just can't stand it. As far as what's my favorite holiday, by far my favorite holiday is Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about Christmas that when the family is together, I don't know, it just feels different than all the other holidays, But that's it. I mean, what's your favorite holiday?
Celebrating wise,
Yeah.
like Christmas because you're with the whole family. Concept wise, I actually like New Year's because I love the idea of like, okay, it's the start of the new year. What do you want to, do differently or work on better? So I
funny
guess you could take that whole week and say like, oh, it's such a, solid.
It's a
nice,
funny
fun
thing you
week.
bring that up because other than Halloween, I also hate New Year's Eve.
I know you
I
hate
hate New Year's Eve because adults do stupid things that they know not to do. And that's what, like, Mom and I never really go out on New Year's Eve. We've never been that. We've always rather been, we've gone out a couple of New Year's Eves, and every time we do, we regret it. We like to stay home, get a little bottle of wine, watch the ball drop, even if we stay up that late, and that's it. But as a parent, oh my God, how many times did I worry about you guys coming home? Who's driving? Who's not driving?
Ryan, what's your favorite? I'll mention it. Ryan said Christmas.
That was Christmas. I think that's universal for many people. All right, that's it for us. We appreciate you sending in the questions. This is the last nighttime one we're having for the week. There is no nighttime tomorrow. So let me give you what's happening with the podcast before we jump off, okay? So number one, tomorrow, Mary and I are going to be together. We're going to be doing a wine and talk, if you will, as the DML News podcast. It's the last time Mary will be on to talk about politics. That's tomorrow's show. Then tomorrow, we are actually taping a 2-hour special that will run on the weekend, although I may change my mind and say run it Friday night and leave it for all weekend. It depends if Ryan can get it together. But we're going to have a 2-hour sit down at the other part of the studio at the wine area there. I'm going to have 3 guys. One is 29 years old and one of Denny's best friends, about to get married. Another guy is somebody I've known for a very long time. He's 63 and retired. And then there's another guy who I've known for a few years now. He is a legal immigrant from Canada. He's 50 years old. They all come with different perspectives about the election, about the country. And we are just going to sit down with some wine, some cheese, and we are going to have a 2-hour conversation. It's almost as if you're going to be sitting in our living room. In fact, we would go into the living room here if we had the microphones to do it. But so we're going to sit there at the table, and you're going to love it. It's a great thing. Whether you watch it in pieces or you watch it, you are going to love this conversation. It's going to be like a fly on the wall, and you're going to feel as if you're right there with us. So that's over the weekend. Then on Monday, the plan is that we'll be back here for the show. Monday night, again, we'll have a little program. There will be nothing on Tuesday afternoon, nothing. And then, I'm sorry. No, we will do something Tuesday morning. And then we will be with you. It will be the reverse. Tuesday after morning will be short. And then Tuesday night, we will be with you live during the entire election night. And then maybe Wednesday morning, we won't have anything. Maybe we'll see what the results are. I don't know. We're going to be very tired. We're going to need a little bit of sleep. We'll figure it out.
As long as I get our time Tuesday to go vote. That's my big
That's
thing.
all we need is Tuesday to vote. All right, that's it for us. Don't forget, dmlcbd.com/BOGO, BOGO. Buy one, get one free. Do not miss it. Please do not miss it. dmlcbd.com/BOGO. If you are not yet a DML CBD customer, now is the time to get in. Stop allowing yourself to have aches and pains, sleepless nights, anxiety, skin issues, and a low immune system when you don't need to. All right? That's that. Thanks so much for being with us. Thank you, Ryan, on the controls. Thank you, Denny, and thank you all for sending in your questions. May God bless you, our troops, these United States.
And today's Team DML blessing goes out to Tammy Lehman.
All right, Tammy, run with it.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.